The 1940s was filled with many films about obsessive love, but no film in the 1940s really captured this subject as well as Leave Her to Heaven. Released on December the 19th, 1945, and was directed by John M. Stahl and starring Gene Tierney, Cornel Wilde, Gene Crane, and Vincent Price, and is adapted to the screen by Joe Swirling from the best-selling novel by Ben Ames Williams. The film's title is drawn from William Shakespeare's Hamlet. In Act 1, Scene 5, the ghost urges Hamlet not to seek vengeance against Queen Gertrude, but rather to leave her to heaven, and to those thorns that in her bosom lodge, to prick and sting her. The story revolves around a femme fatale who becomes very possessive and entraps her husband, committing a number of crimes that are motivated by her crazy jealousy with everything concerning her husband. Her mother comments in the film, "There's nothing wrong with Ellen, it's just that she loves too much. In fact, she loves some people to death." Leave Her to Heaven after 70 years still looks amazing. That rich, lush Technicolor. The cinematography looks incredible and captures those locations and houses in New Mexico and Maine beautifully.
I had John Stahl for Leave It to Heaven. It was a difficult part. I remember when I read the script, I was tormented at first. I thought, my goodness, I don't know if I want to play this woman. She's so evil. And then I thought, I know what she is. She's just insane. So I played it in certain scenes. I let my eyes go wild and showed that she was really an insane person. Jealousy had made her insane.
She does it so well, playing an evil, possessive woman who will go to desperate lengths to stop anyone coming between her and her relationship with her husband, even so far as committing murder. Gene Tierney was at the peak of her stardom during this movie, starring in a number of hits for 20th Century Fox. Gene Tierney, who plays Ellen, is spellbinding in this film, and no matter how much you hate her character, you can't look away. She's also quite stunning in those amazing gowns, and her eyes, wow. Cornel Wilde does a fine job playing her loving, sweet writer husband, Richard, who seems oblivious to what's going on in the majority of the film. Cornel Wilde was quite a successful actor at the time. He started acting on Broadway in Laurence Olivier's 1940 Broadway production of Romeo and Juliet. He was discovered to star in a number of successful Hollywood movies. His star started to fade a bit in the 1950s, and he starred in one of his last major films, The Greatest Show on Earth, in 1952. Gene Crane, who plays Ellen's foster sister, gives a nice understated performance, suffering in silence during the film. Gene Crane came to films through Orson Welles, who screen tested her for a film, but she didn't get the part, but she set her sights on being a movie actress, starring in a number of films. She won a role in The Gang's All Here for Fox in 1943. She starred in a number of low-profile films. Her most famous roles was in State Fair in 1945. In 1949, Jean appeared in 3 films, A Letter to Three Wives, The Fan, and Pinky. It was this latter film which garnered her an Oscar nomination as Best Actress for her role as Pinky Johnson, a nurse who sets up a clinic in the Deep South. She lost to Olivia de Havilland for The Heiress in 1949. Jean left Fox after filming Vicky in 1953. She had made 23 films for Fox Studios. Unfortunately, her films through the 50s through to her last role in the early 70s were forgettable. Vincent Price has a role as Ellen's jilted attorney husband. He starred alongside Tierney in 2 other films. Laura in 1944. In that film, Gene Tierney was Vincent Price's ill-fated love interest, and she also starred alongside him in Dragonwyck in 1946. Vincent Price started out in many dramatic films before being so well known for being a horror actor. The supporting cast for Leave It to Heaven is excellent also. There are many unforgettable scenes, especially the infamous lake scene that when you watch, you just can't believe she would go so far as to watch someone drown. Her facial expressions and lack of emotion will just chill you to the bone. Gene Tierney was quoted as saying, "Jealousy is, I think, the worst of all faults, because it makes a victim of both parties. It was the fashion of the time, still is, to feel that all actors are neurotic, or they would not be actors." The famous and dramatic swimming scene that takes place in the lake for Darryl Hickman's character was in water so cold that the young actor caught pneumonia. While shooting the drowning scene, John M. Stahl was particularly tough on Darryl Hickman. He never even referred to him by name, calling him boy or son the entire time. Then the word came back from Hollywood that Darryl F. Zanuck thought the rushes were some of the best he had ever seen. Suddenly, Hickman was one of Stahl's favorite actors, but he took to picking on Cornel Wilde and called him son and boy. For the proposal scene, Cornel Wilde had trouble reacting convincingly to Gene Tierney's advances, but each time they did a take, the crew was so impressed they whistled at her. Finally, John M. Stahl said to Wilde, "They all seem to understand how the scene should be played. Why can't you?" On a Saturday night, before finishing work for the week, director John M. Stahl asked Gene Tierney to run through the drowning scene, so cinematographer Leon Shamroy could see the staging and know how to light it. When she finished, Stahl was upset. "That was perfect," he said. "Just the way it should be done. But oh God, you will never get it again. Never in a million years." He refused to believe Tierney's protestation that she had been rehearsing it exactly that way for weeks, which left her a nervous wreck on her Sunday off. Monday morning, they shot the scene, and she nailed it. Taglines for Leave Her to Heaven were, "The sin she committed in the name of love could not be judged by man or punished by law." Hers was the deadliest of 7 sins. The California filming locations included Base Lake in the High Sierras, Monterey, and Busch Gardens. They also shot Ellen's first meetings with Richard and her father's memorial in Flagstaff and Granite Dells, Arizona, although most of the lake scenes were shot in Busch Gardens. Lux Radio Theatre broadcast a 60-minute radio adaptation of the movie on March 17, 1947, with Gene Tierney and Cornel Wilde reprising their film roles. On the 22nd of May 1944, after 20th Century Fox purchased the screen rights to the novel, a Hollywood Reporter news item speculated that the studio would cast Tallulah Bankhead and Ida Lupino. Gene Tierney received an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress, but unfortunately lost out to Joan Crawford, who won the Oscar for Mildred Pierce.
And of course, I was nominated for the award. There were 3 nominations. I was one, Ingrid Bergman was the other, and Joan Crawford was the third. And I remember my husband, Ole Cassini, when we were sitting there, he said, "You're going to get it, you're going to get it." And I said, "No, I'm not. I can tell right away from the applause after this clip was shown, you know." I said, "It's not me. I think it's Bergman." And then I was surprised that it was Joan Crawford. But it was marvelous to have that kind of recognition.
The film received 4 Academy Award nominations and won a well-deserved Oscar for Best Cinematography. The film made over $5 million at the box office, which for that time was very high. It was 20th Century Fox's highest-grossing film of the 1940s. This film is cited by acclaimed director Martin Scorsese as one of his favorite films of all time, saying, "Gene Tierney is one of the most underrated actresses of the golden era." The film was remade for TV as Too Good to Be True in 1988. Leave Her to Heaven in 1945 was just one of those memorable films that is made unforgettable through Gene Tierney's stunning performance as the over-obsessive, psychotic, vindictive evil Ellen. This film broke box office records and made the most for 20th Century Fox in the 40s, and Fox Studios was at its highest peak as far as quality films go. The film looks so amazing in colourful Technicolor, and the cinematography is top-notch. The film also features amazing film locations. Leave Her to Heaven just shows you how great the film productions were at that time, the golden era of Hollywood, as it was. In parts, by today's standards, the film can feel a little melodramatic, but you can forgive this. The film is filled with amazing and sometimes shocking scenes, and it's incredible the length Ellen will go to stop anything coming between her and her husband. She won't let anyone have him in their lives, and will do the unthinkable to keep him by her side. My name's JonnyBaak. Thanks for watching.